Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So this is part two of some projects that I'm doing for the kids. It's a creative way to package up gift cards or small little stocking stuffers for the holidays, but you can adapt the colors and style to this throughout the whole year because we're going to be using just little burlap bags as our base. So we'll go down to the table, and these little burlap bags I picked up three for I think $1.25 Canadian at Michael's. You can use scrapbook paper, fold them over, watercolor paper, painted. Just go Google how to make pockets out of paper, and then you'll find a gazillion tutorials. Because I want to keep these videos short, so I think I've got some even on my blog. I don't know. The memory. So I've got the burlap bag. So what I'm going to do is I've got these little textured pieces that my friend Allison made, paper mache pieces. So I was able to find, his name is hard to find for anything, so I always have to have them made. Wolfe. So what I have is he likes stars because they live in a eco house with a living roof, and they have, where the pine trees come, there's a hole up there and all you see are stars. So he loves looking at the stars, and he's infatuated with bugs. So I've got this little dragonfly cut out. Going to be using that. And the process for this is I'm going to gesso the pieces with Decor Art Media white gesso, and I'm going to glue these two pieces together with the matte medium. I'm not sure if it's going to hold. I didn't want to use the hot glue gun for this because I didn't want it popping through the hole. So I'm going to try with the matte medium, and if I can get good contact, that's fine because I can always clamp it together. But then I'll use my glue gun to actually glue these pieces onto the burlap. And I'm going to paint the letters with a pewter, and he likes anything blue, so the pewter has a blue finish to it, so the Decor Art Matte Metallics pewter. And I'm going to paint the dragonfly with the Decor Dazzling Metallics teal. And what I'm going to do with the star, I should say, I'm going to paint it with Hansa Yellow Medium with a smidgen of the Decor Art Pearlizing Medium. I don't want it too shiny because I want some, less finish on this. Then I'm going to apply a layer of crackle glaze just to give it some subtle texture. All right, a lot of work for somebody who's, well, he's a little boy. I mean, he'll probably use that to put dirt inside. I don't know. So let's get started. So I'm going to take my gesso. And some additional ideas that you can work with these pieces. Like I said, you can just change up. I mean, this here, other than the metallic, you can change these to flat colors, and they can be used for something any time of the year. Little kids, though, they're not, well, Ava does. She appreciates anything handcrafted because she's a little bit older. But for little ones, not so much. So it's a matter of just keeping the subject matter interesting and hope that, he doesn't put dirt in the bag. But if he does, at least he's using it. Maybe he can put his collection of bugs inside the bag. I don't know. So all I'm going to do is just prep all the pieces with gesso. And this will just help the paint stand out a little bit more, because these pieces, especially this dragonfly, because it's such a deep brown, the paints, metallics, are a little bit more transparent, so if the brown shows through, it'll make it dull. All right, so I'm just going to prep everything, and then when we come back, we'll start painting the pieces. All right, so everything has been gessoed, and now it's going to start to paint. This part can be a little bit tedious. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to paint those. I'll work one side, let it dry, then do another side. Whoa, these are small. And if you don't have little cutouts like this, you can go to the dollar store and they have stencils, not stencils, the foam cutouts. You can do that. You can stencil some letters, stamp some letters. You give me an objection or a barrier and I'll find a way to make it work for you. So that's that one. There's always a way. And I know sometimes it's hard to be creative and trying to figure stuff out. I have that challenge all the time. Sometimes, and this is where Joe comes in, and sometimes I overanalyze something, and he goes, just simplify it. Ooh, that's pretty. Oh, Wolf will definitely like this. That's that one. So I'm gonna do these here will only take one layer, but because there's all these little holes inside, I'll have to do multiples once they're dry. Don't touch. And then what's next? Oh, the star. The star is the one that's going to take the most amount of work. So Hansa Yellow Medium. Let's put that right on there. So nice bright yellow. And then I'll let it dry, and then I'll put a layer of pearlizing medium right on top. I didn't mix it with the paint. I'm going to put it right on top. I just realized there's a chaos hair here. Well, he's going to have some chaos DNA. All right. So I'm going to apply the rest of the finishes of paint to the fronts, let them dry, turn them over, do the same thing. But when we come back, then I'll put on the pearlizing medium, dry it, show you what it looks like, and then we'll do the crackle glaze, which will take about 2 to 4 hours to dry. Again, drying time. Then we can assemble everything together. All right, so now everything's painted. And I'm just going to apply, that's even too much. I'm going to apply a layer of pearlizing medium to the star. It'll give it a very subtle shimmer. So if you don't have pearlizing medium, what can you do? Paint on some matte medium or decoupage medium and sprinkle some glitter. What I like the best, because it's so fine, is the Deco Glamour Dust. It's like a powder. It's not heavy, chunky glitter. But if you like the heavy, chunky glitter, they have a glitter glue, I think, as well. And then with this, it just depends on how much of a pearlescent look that you want. Let it dry, apply another layer, you know, dry another layer, dry another layer. It's up to you. I'm only going to stick with the one layer. And then when that's dry, we'll put it on the crackle glaze. And then we can go have lunch and wait for it to dry. Very, very pretty. So I went and had made myself a tea. Came back. So we got back from holidays, so Chaos has been with Harrison for 10 days, and so she's just getting into her swing of things. I found a paw print. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think I don't know where it came from. I don't know if she was giving herself a bath, and because I was able just to wipe it off and her paw print's gone, but I think it was her saliva licking paw thing, but there was little paw prints. Nice having her back, though. Same thing with my moon pie, Mia. It's nice having her back. All right, so now we're going to do the crackle glaze. So I like to work this not so much with a super dry brush, just a bit of a damp brush for that. I'm going to dip. And a heavy application. That's the way I like doing it. A very heavy application. That way the cracks show quite nicely. And especially because when you put the heavier the application, the thicker the cracks, the nicer it is for antiquing. So you can put an additional color on top. Now this stuff is fairly self-leveling. You just have to make sure you apply it evenly, and then it should go to the edge and not drip over. But you can see here's some parts here that it hasn't gone quite to the edge. So I can just encourage it a little bit with my tweezers. And then it'll be fine. So we'll let this sit for about 3 to 4 hours, whenever this thing is ready, and then we come back, we'll glue everything together. This little thing took a little bit longer to dry, so she's all done. So now we just have to put it together. So I fired up my glue gun, and let's do a dry fit. And although you really don't need to position the star a certain way, but the cracks do go a certain way. And I want to show as many of the cracks as possible, so where there isn't a lot, that's where I'm going to put the dragonfly. and then just put the letters out. And dry fitting the letters is especially important so they're, you know, evenly spaced out like that. I pulled out a little stick to help me with the letters. So let's get that in there. I'm going to put a good sized blob. And there's a little piece of paper inside. So the glue won't go through. The nice thing I like about the glue, and it's the same thing if you let the liquid glass thicken up a little bit, is that you can make something really, really dimensional. Now let's see if I can do this without my hand is shaking because I don't want to, you know, sometimes when using the glue gun you kind of push, you give a lot of push on that. I don't want to burn myself. Oops, I got a little bit of glue in the middle. So I think for this one, that smaller glue gun would have been much better. Here we go. I can turn that off now. There we go. Isn't that cute? So I'll have to make sure that before I put the stuff inside, that take out the paper. And I'm going to let this sit for a little while. Now the only thing that you have run into trouble with hot glue guns like this is in the cold environment. So really cold, sometimes this stuff will just snap off. So if you're not sure where where it's going to be, you might want to just use like a regular matte medium, heavy gel medium, or something like that because it's flexible. But there's other, you can also hand sew the star on there. There's all these different adhesives that you can use. But for pretty well the general stuff, a hot glue gun is just fine. But you can use fabric glue also. Here we go. Something super, super simple, but just, to me, this is a lot better than buying those little envelopes or those little tin cans that, they run off, tens of thousands on an assembly line. I find this to be a little bit more personal and can be used for anything else, a recyclable bag as well. All right, so I hope you enjoyed it. So what I'd like to do is see your rendition of this. So post a picture of what you create below, and that will inspire other people to create additional versions based on what they've seen, so we can get a whole bunch of different ideas. Alrighty, so I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and until I see you in the next video, stay inspired.